Church, we're so excited to tell you that we are going back to Israel. February, March 2023, next year, we are going back to Israel. It's going to be fantastic. Let us give you some highlights of what you'll see if you come with us to Israel next year. We're going to arrive into Tel Aviv, we're going to find our hotel, and then that night, we're going to first get together and we're going to have dinner in Jaffa. Jaffa is where Jonah ran away from the will of God, but it's also where Peter submitted himself to the will of God to go and preach the gospel to the Gentiles.
Then on day 2, we're going to go to Caesarea Maritime. This is where Peter was called by God to go and visit Cornelius, and this is where the gospel first came to the Gentiles. Then we're going to go to Mount Carmel, then the Jezreel Valley. This is the Armageddon, where you see the Valley of Armageddon. And there we're going to stay overnight and have a dinner together at the Sea of Galilee.
On day 3, we're going to get on a wooden boat just like Jesus, and we're going to go and worship on the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus calmed the storm, where Jesus walked on water, where Jesus picked his disciples. It's an amazing place. You'll love it. We'll then go to the Mount of Beatitudes, where Jesus preached the greatest sermon ever, and we'll have lunch there. And then we're going to finish in Caesarea Philippi, where Jesus established the church. That's where he said, who do men say that I am? And he said, on that revelation, I'm going to build my church. You also see the gates of hell against which cannot prevail against the church.
On day 4, we're going to go and visit the Nazareth village. Then we're going to go to Mount Precipice, and then we're going to go to Capernaum. And Capernaum is the first synagogue where Jesus read from the book of Isaiah and predicting and saying that the Messiah had come.
From there, the next day we go to the Baptismal Site. This is where Jesus was baptized in obedience to what his Father wanted. And it's also where Joshua crossed over the Red Sea to go into the Promised Land. You know what I love about that? This is where I had an encounter with God, because it really explained my life. My life had been in a wilderness. I had an encounter with Jesus Christ, his word and his Holy Spirit, and then God has taken me into his promises. We'll then see the historic site of the Masada, and then spend that day finishing in the Dead Sea, where you'll be able to float, rub some mud upon yourselves. Nina was actually healed by her psoriasis by putting that mud on her.
On day 6, we're going to take a jeep tour up to the very mountain where the scapegoat was thrown over. And there we're also going to have a dinner together, and we're going to sit under the very stars where God spoke the promises of God to Abraham.
From there, we go to Jerusalem, and I promise you that first night when you drive over that hill and you see Jerusalem for the very first time, something will happen in your spirit. We'll be worshiping at that time, and it's just incredible. The next day is pretty much all about Jerusalem, the Temple Mount, Jerusalem streets, Herod's temple, the Jewish quarter. It's a full day, but an excellent day.
Then on day 8, we go to a Holocaust museum. We visit the market. We go to the upper room. The upper room is where Jesus had his Last Supper with his disciples. And then we also see where the Holy Spirit fell on 120. Then we visit the Western Wall, and that's interesting in itself.
Sure.
You would have seen pictures, but we're going to go there in person, so that's going to be great.
Yeah, then the next day we go to the Mount of Olives. That's where Jesus is going to return. We spent some time in the Garden of Gethsemane. Nina had a real touch from God in that place, where she almost felt like she had a vision of Jesus. Yeah. And then we finished by going to the empty tomb, which is the message of Christianity, that he is risen. And it's just a wonderful thing. You will be moved. We'll worship there as well. And it's excellent. And then finally, it's our last day.
Day 10, we'll visit an Israel museum where the Dead Sea Scrolls are kept. And also we go and visit the Valley of Elah, where Goliath and David had their encounter, and David slain Goliath.
So I hope we've given you a little bit of a snapshot. We've gone through it very quickly. There's just so much more that we do as well. So it's next year, 2023, Monday the 27th of February to Wednesday the 8th of March. Cost is $3,300. That's all of your accommodation. It's all of your food. That's your bus trips. That's your entry into all the different places that we're going. It's excellent value. You have to get your own flights, but you are going to be so glad to come. It's a wonderful trip. Talk to some of the people who have actually been, and I promise you they'll only fill you with great desire to come along. Thanks for listening, and please pray about coming to Israel with us in 2023.
walk.